Abbott to introduce our opening keynote speaker. I would like to briefly introduce Mr. Abbott. Mr. Lieutenant Governor has already said about Michael's collection of art and his contribution to the gallery, but I would like to say that while he is of course one of South Australia's most successful barristers, his links with and contributions to Asia run deep and wide. Mr. Abbott was an inaugural board member of the Australia-India Council in 1992, and he is former chair of the council. Also, I had the honor of visiting his home recently, and I was truly amazed to see his collection of old manuscripts of the Jain religion, one of the oldest religions of India, which Mr. Abbott has been studying for a long time. So with pleasure, I now invite him to introduce our keynote speaker, keynote presenter, Ambassador John McCarthy. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Hugh Van Lee, Lieutenant Governor for the State of South Australia, Mr. John McCarthy, the Chairman of the Australia-India Council, Tan Sri Munia, conference organisers, Professor Pranendra Jain, Dr. Jerry Groot, Dr. Peter Mayer, and members of the organising committee, Professor Catherine Robinson, distinguished guests and delegates, it's my pleasant duty to welcome you again to the conference and to say a few words about a man who really needs no introduction at all, my friend John McCarthy. I also want to acknowledge firstly that we're on Kaurna land and to thank Uncle Lewis O'Brien for his welcome to Kaurna land. I also want to thank you, Hugh Van Lee, for your kind words about me. I want to assure you, as you have assured our audience, that in South Australia we value our interaction with Asia. We value art and culture of Asia and Southeast Asia, not the least by the historic appointment by our government of a Vietnamese Australian as our Lieutenant Governor, not the least by the support given by the government to the Art Gallery of South Australia in its Asian collection, but also, of course, by many other things, such as the ASAA Festival, which Hugh has mentioned, of which he is the patron, the organiser and the instigator. To turn now to John McCarthy. Many of you here today have, to a greater or lesser extent, studied and written about Asia and South Asia. Many of you have lived in Asia and many of you have an Asian background. But few, I suggest, have played such a crucial role in Australia's bilateral relationship with the countries of Asia and Southeast Asia than John McCarthy. John has led, from a foreign affairs perspective at least, Australia's engagement with Vietnam from 1981 to 1983, Thailand from 1992 to 1994, Indonesia from 1997 to 2001, Japan 2001 to 2005, and India from 2004 until he relinquished his role as our High Commissioner in 2009. And when you add into that mix his early years in Damascus, Baghdad and Vientiane, and his recent experiences as Australia's Special Representative to Sri Lanka, and his role in the last year as the Chairman of the Australia-India Council, you realise that John, as a commentator and speaker on Asia and South Asia, is an exceptional person. So let me put the position quite simply. There is no other Australian diplomat, not even Dick Walcott, who's had so much interaction with so much of Asia than John. His engagement, perhaps fortuitously for Australia, has been at very crucial times in the development of Australia's bilateral relationship with those countries that I've mentioned. And as a consequence of those and his other experiences, he brings to any discussion about Asia a unique perspective, which probably explains why he's chosen as the title of his opening address the topic Australia, Asia and public diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my very great pleasure to introduce John McCarthy, AO, to give the opening address to this conference.